said the reason he lost to Dustin Poirier the second time was due to inactivity. He just felt like he wasn't active enough. Now he's going to be inactive, plus coming off of a broken leg injury, plus we don't know how the steroids are really affecting him. Alright, we finally have an update on Conor McGregor. I was planning on making a video, you know, talking about the Conor McGregor situation, about how he does not have a fight announced, but it looks like we have another update about Conor McGregor potentially actually coming back. It has been so long that it just seems like that this fight will never happen. I see it all the time in the comment section. Every time I talk about this fight, they're like, Jack, this fight isn't going to happen. Why the hell are you talking about it? Guys, I think the fight will happen at some stage. I can't imagine it'll never happen. And it looks like we have an update kind of confirming what we heard in the beginning of the year about June 29th, and at least that the fight will happen this summer. We've heard Dana White in the past say, hey, maybe this fight is going to take place in fall, maybe by the end of the year. Looks like we have a date. It looks like that maybe we could actually start predicting when this fight is going to happen and actually start taking this fight serious. Now, I want to talk about what we know about the fight. I'm going to talk about Michael Chandler's reaction. I want to talk about all the other stuff that we know about McGregor, and as well as who I think is going to win this fight. Has my prediction changed? But first, I want to remind you guys of the subscribe button, like, comment, and share. We are just a few hundred subscribers from 12K. We are literally almost there, so if you guys could just help support the channel and click the subscribe button, and also hit the notification bell, because that helps my channel so much. You guys have no idea. A lot of the algorithm is based on that alone, so please, guys, just help me out. If you guys do enjoy the content, I'd really appreciate it. But Conor McGregor, we don't need to go through the whole backstory. July 2021, breaks his leg against Dustin Poirier, has been out the whole time. Looks like he's gonna fight Michael Chandler. They do the season of The Ultimate Fighter. I did a whole video reacting to that season of The Ultimate Fighter on the channel, and it was a mid-season, but we were still looking forward to the fight. We thought it was gonna be September, then we thought it was gonna be December, and then we thought it was gonna be for UFC 300, and now we have the date June 29th, which is the last day we heard. And Dana White has come out and said, hey, that the fight is not happening in June, and has said things like Conor McGregor is lying.
So where do things stand with Conor right now? Is he fighting in June?
No. When Conor's ready to fight, you know we'll announce it.
Now, we didn't know, was this Dana White being petty and wanting to announce the news himself, or was this a warning sign of things to come? And it did seem like for a long time that this fight was not going to happen in June. I mean, I was going to make a video today anyway talking about how I don't think the fight is going to happen in June anymore, and just talking about the UFC, but it looks like Conor McGregor has came out and said he's talked to the UFC just a couple days ago and has straightened this thing out, and he has said, hey, I am fighting in the summer.
But we got confirmation a few days ago that it's all systems go, and the Notorious will be returning in the UFC octagon this summer.
Now, I know what you guys are thinking, and I have to address the obvious. This isn't the first time we've heard Conor McGregor come out and say a date, right? We heard him say September, we heard him say December, we heard him say UFC 300, we've heard him say all of these different dates, but I think it does make sense, guys, because at the end of the day, I don't think Conor McGregor was lying about that June 29th date. Why? Because, look, International Fight Week has always been in July, and June 29th is confirmed International Fight Week, so we knew that Conor McGregor was not lying when he said June 29th, that he at least had some sort of information about International Fight Week being that week. Now, this is extraordinary news. Also, Conor McGregor, of course, confirmed that he will be returning against Michael Chandler. I think we all knew that. I mean, maybe Justin Gaethje could have been in that mix, but he's already fighting Holloway, so I think Chandler is really the only option. And man, when that fight happens, it's going to be a big fight. It's going to be a massive return, and I can't wait. And tune in for later, because I'm going to talk about what I think the co-main event for that fight card should be. But McGregor's opponent, Michael Chandler, did chime in about this whole news, about the whole situation breaking. And Michael Chandler tweeted, I'm not sure I'll be ready for a summer fight. I've been out of the loop. Can y'all ask Dana to confirm this? Now, a lot of people were worried in the reply saying, what is Chandler talking about? Is this some sort of power move? Is this true? Is he not ready? Was he not told about this? But he did confirm in the replies, as I'm sure a lot of people realized, the guy was simply joking. And the replies someone put, the amount of people taking this tweet seriously is ... wow. Michael Chandler responded and said, ha ha ha, right? Basically confirming, yeah, he was just joking, he's trolling, he's ready for the summer, and he's also put out some other tweets saying, hey, he's ready anytime, anywhere. So Chandler's on board. McGregor has been on board. It seems like the UFC might potentially actually be on board this time. And International Fight Week makes sense. They're always trying to make it special. McGregor, when he fought Poirier the third time, wasn't technically International Fight Week, but that was because of the whole COVID situation and things like that, but technically it would have been International Fight Week when he last fought. And let's be real, if Chandler really was not ready, the UFC would use this as a perfect excuse to say, well, Chandler, we're skipping over you, we're picking a bigger opponent. So yeah, Chandler better hope to be ready, because even if he's injured, man, the UFC will screw him over so fast, and McGregor really does run the show. So McGregor's on board, Chandler's on board. We don't know about the UFC as of yet. There is still a few question marks, but I do think that this is a good sign. I think the fact that McGregor gave us correct information all the way back in January about International Fight Week is a good sign that at least he had some sort of conversation with Dana White. Remember, they had a meeting in the end of last year, and it seemed like that Dana White had told him, hey, we're gonna plan this for International Fight Week, we're gonna wait a little bit, build this thing up, and if McGregor is truly fighting in International Fight Week, we should probably expect an announcement within the next few weeks. Conor McGregor fight usually gets announced a little bit earlier than usually fights do. You'd probably expect an announcement, I'd say, by the end of April at the latest. Now, before I get into the prediction, I want to talk about the card because there has been a lot of talk who else is going to be on this card. We've heard a few matchups here and there. Corey Sandhagen, Umar Nurmagomedov has been in talks for International Fight Week. Those two have been saying International Fight Week. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that means there might be some sort of conversation there. That would be an awesome fight to have on a Conor McGregor card because that is an amazing fight, especially Umar Nurmagomedov with, you know, the history of McGregor and the Nurmagomedovs. It would be a pretty big deal to have those two on the card, especially if Islam is somewhere in the arena. And I want to talk about what I think might be the co-main event. Now, this has been hinted at by Ian Garry, but I think the co-main event, I think what they might try to do is Colby Covington versus Ian Garry. You guys might have seen the videos that these two have been making towards one another. Colby Covington, you know, making a bunch of stipulations for them to fight. Ian Garry basically reacting in his own cringy way, and Colby Covington going back at him with a few good remarks, I gotta admit myself, even though I'm not the biggest Colby Covington fan right now after that performance he had against Leon Edwards. Seriously, Colby was given a title shot from the gods. Like, this guy did not deserve a title shot, and he just did nothing. Look, if he did break his foot, and it really was that, and he broke his foot that early, okay, I can understand. That makes a lot more sense because he did not fight anywhere near how he usually fights, but I digress. I think that would be an amazing fight. I mean, obviously you have the ties to Ireland with Ian Garry. Colby Covington, if you like him or not, is a showman, so I do think he's going to want to have the most eyes on him, and I think he's going to want to fight on that Conor McGregor card. But to wrap this video up, I want to talk about my prediction, guys. I predicted in the past, yes, I think McGregor is going to beat Chandler. I'm more and more worried as the days go by, but you guys have to consider, yes, it's been a long time since McGregor has fought, but now it's also been a long time since Chandler fought, right? These guys have not really fought in the past 2 years. I mean, McGregor, right, he hasn't fought since 2021, and Chandler hasn't fought since November 2022. I mean, it's really not that much of a difference. It's about a year and a half difference, and let's be honest, Chandler is a lot older now. He's almost 38. McGregor is turning 36, which is a massive deal. He's going to be 35 when the fight takes place. Now, I think there's a lot of big question marks. What's the weight going to be? I hope it's at 155. I don't want to see the fight at 170. I think it's a stupid fight to have at 170. Neither of these guys have fought at 170, really. I know McGregor has, right, against Nate Diaz and Cowboy, but those weren't real fights. I'm talking about true fights that actually mean something. Have the fight at 155 if Conor can make 155. If he can't make 155, I really don't think he could succeed in the UFC. Like, I think at the end of the day, I think any of these guys, Gilbert Burns, Kamaru Usman, Shavkat Rakhmonov, I mean, all these guys are like 10 times bigger than McGregor. He needs to cut down in weight, get to 155, fight Chandler, and if he beats Chandler in the 155-pound division, he's back in the top 5. And depending on how he does, I mean, I've talked about it in the past, but Poirier has struggled against Chandler. Look, I think that Chandler is there to get hit. I think if the guy that fought Dustin Poirier back in 2021 is fighting Chandler, I think he beats Chandler. I think he beats Chandler in 1 round, maybe 2 rounds. I think he knocks him out. But if we see a guy who's not really so determined, a guy who's overlooking Chandler, a guy who thinks that's an easy matchup, that is where he can get in trouble because an overhand right has been a shot that McGregor has gotten caught with a few times. He even got dropped by it from Khabib, and Chandler hits hard. Chandler is a guy that throws with 100% power, and that could lead to his downfall. He could overcommit to a shot and get countered heavy, or he could actually land on McGregor's chin. He has not fought in a long time. He said the reason he lost to Dustin Poirier the second time was due to inactivity. He just felt like he wasn't active enough. Now he's going to be inactive, plus coming off of a broken leg injury, plus we don't know how the steroids are really affecting him. He probably was on steroids during this time. Is he as strong as he was? I don't know, guys. We're going to have to see. And sometimes you get off of steroids, you get even weaker after. So these are all questions that we're going to have to find out. Before we wrap up the video, I want to take a look at the top comments from the last video. If you guys missed it, I talked about Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall, them meeting up and some of the psychology behind it. First comment I want to read, that X-Men shirt looks dope on you, brother. I have a lot of different interests. It's not just MMA. MMA is probably my top interest. Marvel in their prime, I mean, definitely were cooking. Marvel now definitely fell off. I mean, honestly, a lot of their projects are just whack in my opinion. Also like a lot of rap music, things like that. But I appreciate the compliment. They're never seeing that fight. Stipe and Jones are retiring. They don't want this next generation. I totally agree with this. To me, it seems like Jon Jones is not interested in fighting Tom. I think he's most likely going to retire after fighting Stipe, and that does suck. But at the end of the day, Jones knows himself, and maybe he knows he cannot beat Tom Aspinall. Maybe he knows he's just too young. I don't know. No disrespect, but why the heck would they? Of course, saying like, why would they fight? They're getting older, and they are already cemented their careers. There is no need for him to risk it all as an older fighter against someone who is in their prime. Aspinall is an excellent fighter, but fighting him doesn't prove anything for Jones. The only good argument is that Jones ducked Ngannou, which as a Jones fan is probably true. Yes, Jon Jones is a legend. He is an older fighter, and if the guy wants to say, look, I don't want to fight these younger guys, I want to fight older people, I have no problem with that. The only problem here is when you have that belt, then vacate your belt and say, look, I'm going to fight Stipe. That's a legacy matchup. I understand the division has to move on. I got injured. I didn't even defend my title once in the heavyweight division. The guy has fought once in the past 4 years. Love Jon Jones. He is one of the greatest of all time. I always tell you guys the truth. I'm not going to let my bias get in the way if I'm a fan of this guy. If I'm not, at the end of the day, if Jon wants to do that, fine, but vacate your belt. True champions don't pick their opponents. They're there to fight anybody, the #1 contender, and that's Tom Aspinall right now. But guys, thank you guys for watching. Click on the screen if you guys wanted to watch that video. I think I might have made a mistake tagging the video or something like that. So I know a lot of people didn't really get to see the video, unfortunately, but I did put a lot of work into it. So if you guys could click the video and help support me, I'd very much appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. You guys have best fan base in MMA, and I'll see you guys in the next one.